Placebo activates biochemical processes. A presentation by Professor Gershom Zajcek, Faculty of Medicine, Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Let's start with a simple question. Who am I? I distinguish in myself between two realms. Mind, which is the site of my will, thoughts, reasoning, and my conscious experience. Wisdom of the body, or wob, is a set of all processes in my body and their mutual control, which I am not conscious of. Wob keeps me alive. I described their nature in several presentations. The placebo phenomenon is a manifestation of both, as I show in other presentations. So what is a placebo? It is a message from mind to wob, which activates biochemical processes. Mind and wob are extremely complex entities whose workings we still fail to understand. I restrict therefore my attention to messages between wob and mind. I shall illustrate this approach by analyzing an important study of the placebo phenomenon published by Martina Ammazio and Fabrizio Benedetti. Here's their paper appeared in the Journal of Neuroscience, and it is called Neuropharmacological Dissection of Placebo Analgesia, etc. "229 subjects were subdivided into 12 groups. In each group, a different placebo protocol was tested. Pain was induced experimentally by means of the tourniquet technique. A sphygmomanometer was placed around the upper arm and inflated to a pressure of 300 millimeter, lasting 11 minutes. All drugs used in the study were administered through an intravenous line. The experiments were performed according to a randomized double-blind design. Each experiment lasted 5 days, like here in figure 4a of their study. It described one experiment. It starts with day 1 without treatment, then we have day 2 and 3 conditioning, day 4 placebo, and last day, day 5, is also a control without treatment. More specifically, day 1, pain induced without treatment. Day 2, pain induced and treated with morphine. Day 3, pain induced and treated with morphine. Day 4, pain induced and treated with saline, when patient was told that he received a painkiller. Day 5, pain induced without treatment. In order to simplify comparison, only the last 3 days will be depicted, like here. You have conditioning, placebo, and no treatment. Expectation is a message from mind to wob. Patient imagined that she will get morphine and activates a response of wob, which reduces pain. So here you have the scheme. Left is mind, right is wob. The arrows show the messages, and the message from mind to wob is expectation. And the wob, which the message is pain or reduced pain. Image is a metaphor for what she sees in her mind's eye and not a real image. It is a way to convey what mind wants. So here we have one experiment. On the left, you have the conditioning with morphine, day 2, day 3, and day 4 she receives a placebo. She is told it's morphine. And you see that the placebo has an effect. It reduces the pain. On the right, she gets the same design. She's told that she's treated with morphine, conditioned with morphine, and when she, at the placebo part, she receives naloxone, which inhibits morphine. So she thinks that she gets morphine, but she gets naloxone, and you see that there is no pain relieving in this setup. So, and then there is another experiment, again to the left, the standard conditioning. On the right, she gets morphine, and when she gets placebo treatment, she is told it's antibiotics, and it doesn't relieve pain. It's only to test you. And you see that nevertheless, the conditioning induced a placebo with a response. It's a partial response, but the placebo initiates a response despite her knowing that she got an antibiotic. So when she was told that she got an antibiotic which does not kill pain, mind sent to Wob a message, don't expect anything. Nevertheless, Wob reduced pain since it was conditioned by the infusion. So you have two kinds of conditioning here. What she's told and the infusion itself. Any conditioning creates two messages. One mind to Wob, what she was told, and one environment to Wob, which is infusion. Infusion itself and not its content was also a conditioning stimulus in this experiment. Actually, all experiments conditioned also Wob, yet only one experiment which I described tested Wob conditioning. Naloxone is an opioid inverse agonist drug. It is used to counter the effect of opiate overdose. Since placebo response was inhibited by naloxone, it activated the morphine pathway, and which was inhibited. So you have on the left the classical experiment, on the right the placebo which was inhibited by naloxone. Conditioning created in Wob an association between a stimulus, morphine, and a specific biochemical response, pain reduction. This is stored in Wob memory. Mind and Wob have two distinct memories. Mind memory is conscious and may be retrieved at will, and Wob memory is unconscious and cannot be retrieved at all. I describe it in other presentation. In other words, following morphine conditioning, mind knows or remember that placebo relieves pain. And Wob knows or remember how to inhibit the morphine pathway. The same experiments were repeated with another painkiller unrelated to morphine. Ketorolac is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug indicated for short-term management of moderate to severe pain. So here you have the same setup like before, only for ketorolac. On the left, you have conditioning with ketorolac. The placebo there is a placebo response to ketorolac, and on the fifth day there is no response. And on the right, you have the same setup, and she is told that she gets a painkiller, and but she gets naloxone, which inhibits the morphine pathway, and naloxone does not inhibit this painkiller. So again, conditioning created in VOB an association between a stimulus, here ketorolac, and a specific biochemical response, pain reduction. It is stored in VOB memory. This association is different than that with morphine, since it is not abolished by naloxone. So here again a summary. You have the two experiments. On the left you have conditioning with morphine and a placebo response which is inhibited by naloxone. On the right you have conditioning with ketorolac and a placebo effect which is not inhibited by naloxone. So these are two distinct biochemical processes. These experiments have far-reaching implications on therapy. Each treatment initiates a conditioning. Generally, physician is a conditioning factor, and his treatments are a mixture of specific and placebo responses. However, by properly designing how therapy is applied, it might be supplemented by a specific placebo. For instance, placebo might be interleaved in the ongoing treatment with steroids and so reduce and postpone their side effects. I described it in another presentation. It is possible to condition an individual to two kinds of therapy. Suppose that we apply the above experimental design sequentially. 1 week a patient receives morphine infusion colored blue. In the following week she is treated with ketorolac infusion colored red. Each colored saline infusion will activate a different biochemical process. In this way, it is possible to map placebos to biochemical processes in the body. I call it placebo pharmacology. You got a glimpse of the enormous potential of VOB, or our unconscious, which awaits to be explored. Placebo is a message. Placebo is the message. Thank you.